In the stillness of the abandoned Tanzania village, Amina and Gabriel stood momentarily rooted to the spot, their eyes fixed on the place where the boy had vanished. The sudden appearance and the disappearance of the child added another layer of mystery to the already enigmatic situation. Feeling a sense of urgency, they decided to split up, each taking a different path through the village to gather information. Amina walked down the narrow, deserted path, her artist's eye taking in any details. The haunts, with their thatched roofs and walls adorned with vibrant, intricate patterns, spoke of a community that once thrived here. As she explored, Amina stumbled upon a small hut, its door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, she stepped inside, her senses immediately assaulted by the remnant of life abruptly left behind. Cooking utensils lay scattered, a half-woven basket set abandoned, and on the walls there were photographs of villagers in happier times. Among the photographs, Amina's gaze was drawn to a series of old, faded pictures that seemed out of place. They showed the villagers gathered around the same stone pedestal they had found in the village square, engaged in what looked like a ritual. The artifact, unmistakably similar to the one Gabriel was searching for, was at the center of those ceremonies. Meanwhile, Gabriel searched the outer edge of the village, his steps leading into a neglected library. Inside, he found dusty shelves filled with books and scrolls, some ancient, some more recent. His research uncovered a hidden compartment in the floor, in which lay a collection of old manuscripts, their pages yellowed with age. He carefully examined the manuscripts, his heart racing as he discovered they were detailed accounts of the village history, including references to the artifacts. Those writings confirmed that the artifact was indeed of significant importance, not only to his family, but to his entire community. It was reversed as a symbol of protection and prosperity. Its disappearance coincided with the decline of the village. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Amina and Gabriel reconvened in the village square. They shared their findings, the photographs, and the manuscript painting a picture of a community that has once revolved around the artifacts. Their discussion was interrupted by the sound of footsteps. Emerging from the shadows, the same boy who had spied on them earlier appeared, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity. Behind him, hesitantly followed several villagers, their faces edged with caution and uncertainty. The standoff in the village square under the Tanzanian twilight was a table of tension and unspoken questions. Amina and Gabriel, the outsiders, faced the small group of villagers who had emerged from the shadows, led by the curious boy. The villagers' eyes, filled with a mix of fear and caution, shifted between the two strangers and the stone pedestal that stood silent witness in the square. Breaking the silence, an elderly woman stepped from the group. Her face, lined with the windows of ears, brought an expression of guarded curiosity. In Swahili, she addressed Amina and Gabriel, her voice a fragile thread in the evening air. "We thought we were the last," she began, her eyes flickering with a faint glimmer of hope. "We thought the legacy had died with the departure of the last guardians." Gabriel responded, explaining their quest and its connection to the artifact. The villagers listening, their expression a mix of surprise and relief as they learned of Gabriel's lineage and the reason behind their unexpected visits. The elderly woman, introducing herself as Makena, invited Amina and Gabriel into her haunt for a more private conversation. Inside, surrounded by modest furnishing and the faint aroma of herbs, Makena shared the village tales. Years ago, the village had thrived, with the artifact serving as a symbol of unity and protection. But with the sudden disappearance of the artifact, calamity had stalked. Crops failed, disease spread, and the once vibrant community began to crumble. Superstitions and fear took root, driving away most of the villagers. As McKenna spoke, Gabriel listening intensely, his face a mask of sorrows and realization. The burden of his family's legacy weighed heavily on him, the implications of the artifact loss now painfully clear. Amina, meanwhile, was drawn to a series of paintings on the aunt's wall. They depicted various scenes of village life, but one in particular caught her eyes. It showed the artifact being placed in a hidden location by a group of villagers, the backdrop of tapestry of stars and moonlit mountains. Pointing to the painting, Amina asked McKenna about it. With a sigh, the elderly woman explained that the location depicted was real, a secluded spot deep in the mountains surrounding the village. The revelation struck Amina and Gabriel with the force of a revelation. The artifacts could still be within the reach hidden in the mountain, waiting to be found. But the moment of revelation was shattered by a sudden commotion outside. McKenna's aunt was surrounded by armed men, their intentions clear from the menacing demoniac. Gabriel and Amina exchanged a glance, understanding that those were the people hunting for the artifacts. Amina and Gabriel were trapped in McKenna's hut, the armed men closing in. Outside, the night had fallen completely, casting the village in darkness and uncertainty. Inside, McKenna, Amina, and Gabriel faced a perilous situation, the weight of history and the urgency of the quest bearing down upon them. The hunt for the artifact had led them to the moment, a convergence of past and present, with the future hanging in precariously in the balance. The night air in the Tanzania village was thick with tension as the armed men surrounded McKenna's hut. Inside, the dim light flickered across the worried face of Amina, Gabriel, and the elderly McKenna. Outside, the intruders' voices harsh and demanding chattered the night's calm. Gabriel, his eyes scanning the room for an escape route, whispered urgently to Amina and McKenna, "We need to leave now. There is a back way out of the hut." McKenna nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. She moved swiftly, despite her age, leading them to a concealed door at the back of the hut. The door opened into a narrow, winding path that sneaked through the dense foliage behind the village. As they hurried away from the hut, the sounds of the intruders grew fainter, but the danger was far from over. Gabriel led the way, his familiarity with such situations evident in his swift, silent movements. Amina followed close behind, her heart pounding, every shadow and hustle in the bushes magnified her fear. They moved through the night, guided by the moon's pale light, until they reached the base of the mountain that loomed over the village. Here, McKenna stopped, her breath coming in short gaps. "The hidden place in the painting," she gasped, pointing towards a narrow tail that disappeared into the mountains. "It leads there, but I cannot go further." Gabriel, understanding the peril of their situation, nodded. "We will go. You must stay safe. Can you find a place to hide?" McKenna nodded, a determined glint in her eyes. "I know those mountains. I will be safe. Find the artifact. It's only our hope." With a final mutual nod of understanding, Gabriel and Amina turned to the mountain path, leaving McKenna to disappear into the night. The path was treacherous, a barely discernible trail that would its way up to the mountainside. Every step was a test of endurance and faith. The steep inclines and loose rock making their progress painstakingly slow. As they ascended, Amina's thoughts were a whirlwind. She had left her world far behind, embroiled now in a quest that felt larger than life. Beside her, Gabriel moved with a singular focus, the weight of his family's legacy driving him forward. Hours passed, and the first light of dawn began to touch the horizon when they finally reached their destination. It was a secluded plateau, hidden from the world by towering cliff and dense foliage. In the center of the plateau stood a stone structure, ancient and withered, its surface covered in the same intricate symbol as the artifacts. They approached the structure, their bodies weary but spirit lifted by the prospect of finding the artifacts. As they neared, they realized they were not alone. A figure emerged from the shadows, a man whose presence seems as ancient as the stones themselves. Amina and Gabriel stand before the mysterious figure, the early morning light casting long shadows across the plateau. Questions raced through Amina's mind. Who was this person? Was he a guardian of the artifacts or another seeker of its power? The answer seemed lay in the heart of the ancient structure before them, a secret buried in the annals of time, now on the brink of being uncovered. The first rays of dawn cast a golden hue over the secluded plateau, illuminating the ancient figure standing before Amina and Gabriel. The man, draped in robes that whispered of age and secrets, regarded them with eyes that seemed to have witnessed the passage of centuries. Who dares seek the secret of the ancients? His voice, dull-thrilled, echoed with authority and resonated with the weight of history. Gabriel stepped forward, his voice steady despite the fatigue and all that gripped him. I am Gabriel, descendant of the guardians of the artifacts. I have come to reclaim what is rightfully protected by my family. The old man gaze lingered on Gabriel, measuring, assessing. Then, slowly, its thin expression softened into one of recognition. The bloodline of the guardians endure, he murmured. But why do you seek the artifacts? Do you understand the weight of what you pursue? Gabriel spoke of his journey, of the danger that had befallen his family and the village, and of the need to protect the artifact from those who would misuse its power. Amina, standing beside him, added a voice, speaking of the connection she had felt with the artifacts and the village's plight. The old man listening, his expression unreadable. As the tale unfolded, the sun rose higher, casting light on the stone structure behind him. It was a modest edifice, yet it emanated a sense of profound significance. Its walls adorned with carvings that mirrored the symbols on the artifacts. You seek a power that was never meant to be disturbed, the old man finally said. The artifact is a key, a bridge to knowledge, and forces that your world is not prepared to handle. He paused, looking between Amina and Gabriel. But I see the truth in your words, the sincerity in your quest. I will take you to the artifact, but know this, its power is not to be taken lightly. The path you walk is fraught with peril, not just to you, but to the very fabric of the world. With that ominous warning, the old man turned and gestured for them to follow. They entered the stone structure, its interior surprisingly vast. The walls were lined with ancient scripts and depictions of the celestial bodies and intricate geometric patterns. Deep within the structure, they came to a chamber where the air thrummed with an unseen energy. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, and upon it lay the artifact, its metallic surface gleaming in the dim light. Gabriel stepped forward, his hand trembling as he reached out to the artifact. But before his fingers could touch it, a sudden tremor shocked the chamber. Dust and small stones rolled from the ceiling as the ground beneath them vibrated with increasing intensity. Amina's heart raced, her eyes wide with fear. The old man's word echoed in her mind, a warning of the power they were about to awaken. Gabriel's hand hovering over the artifacts, the chamber shaking around them, and a sense of imminent danger filling the air. The quest had led them here, to the heart of ancient secrets, but the true set of their journey was just the beginning. The artifact, long hidden and protected, was on the brink of being reclaimed, but at what cost? In the trembling heart of the ancient chamber, Gabriel's hand hovered over the artifact, the air thick with a palpable sense of impending change. Amina stood beside him, Her breath caught in her throat as the ground beneath them shuddered with a growing intensity. The old man, his face a mask of ancient knowledge and solemn warning, walked silently, his eyes reflecting the flickering light that danced along the chamber walls. As Gabriel's fingers finally made contact with the cold metal of the artifact, a surge of energy rippled through the chamber. The intricate carvings on the wall seemed to come alive, glowing with a spectral light that cast otherworldly shadows. The tremors intensified a deep trembling that seemed to have emanated from the very core of the heart. Amina reached out instinctively, gripping Gabriel's arm. The connection between them, always palpable now, felt like an anchor in the maelstrom that engulfed them. The artifact, once a silent relic, was now a conduit of unleashed force, its secret awakening the after centuries of slumber. The old man's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and commanding. "You must control it. Focus, will, guardian," he shouted to Gabriel over the roar that filled the chamber. Gabriel, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe, nodded. He closed his eyes, concentrating on the artifact, attempting to harness the tumultuous energy that flowed from it. The air around them vibrated with power, the boundary between the ancient and the present blurring. But as the energy grew, so too did the danger. The chamber, ancient and fragile, could not withstand the unleashed power. Cracks appeared along the walls, stones and debris cascading down around them. Amina, her artist soul now a witness to a scene far beyond any canvas, knew they had to escape. "We have to leave now," she yelled, tugging at Gabriel's arm. Gabriel's eyes snapped open, the realization of their peril drawing on him. Clutching the artifact, he nodded, and together with Amina, they turned to flee the chamber. But their path was blocked. The entrance had collapsed, leaving them trapped in the chamber with the awakening power of the artifact. Panic set in as they searched frantically for another way out. The old man leading them through the maze of passages, his knowledge of the ancient structure their only guide. They find themselves in a narrow passageway, the sounds of the collapsing chamber echoing behind them. Ahead, a faint light promised a way out, but their escape was far from certain. As they raced towards the light, the ground beneath them gave way, and they were plunged into darkness, falling into an unknown abyss. The last thing Amina saw before darkness engulfed her was the old man, his figure a fading silhouette against the collapsing chamber, and the artifact glowing ominously in Gabriel's gaps.